From across the comic book community multiverse, the Comic Con podcast begins now with your hosts, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime. If you give them the title of influencer, then that's giving them more power, right? That's how it is. Like, I'm a nobody. Listen, I'm a nobody. Zach, aka the Manimal.
We talked about it for a full, I believe, 7 to 8 minutes on an hour-long normal podcast for a show. And you would have thought we set their house on fire with the backlash. So, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Comic Con Podcast, Season 3, Episode 13. I'm your host tonight, the Manimal. With me, like always, is my boy, co-hosting, Justin, a.k.a. Nemesis.
Hold on a second. I got to take this phone call. Heritage
Omega?
Auctions? Yes, I will not take less than $1 million for that Detective Comics number 27. So unless I'm getting $1 million...
Kind of went a little low.
Listen, it's a low grade. I at least need the 1K.
It's a low grade. You're such an asshole. You couldn't afford a NG, dude. You couldn't afford an NG.
Pedigree.
Yeah, but the colors popped on that thing, man. We're totally like intro now. We're down the rabbit hole. Here we go. Yeah. Heritage Auction. No, dude, that was a badass comic, bro. That was a sick book. But I am surprised about how low it kind of went. Not low, but like low.
Yeah, of course. It's
would have went for like 1.2 mil, something like that.
Yeah, it was just over the million mark. I mean, I don't think it was the record one. I can't remember.
No, it wasn't for sure.
Yeah.
What was the deal with the pedigree on it? I'm not super savvy on that.
Oh, I don't remember whose pedigree it was, like whose collection it was from, but
okay.
You don't have any pedigrees in your collection, right?
Yeah, dude. You got the Manimal pedigree coming out. So it's everything from the 90s forward. It's like
this guy.
Super rare stuff, dude. Yeah.
I want to see that pedigree sent to CGC, like on the CGC label.
Send all my books in. Oh, the Manimal pedigree, dude. You guys have never seen this X-Men 1 Jim Lee.
You get your own special little like in the corner, you know, with the stick, you know, when they have like the Marvel characters, yours would just be Havoc with the Thanos thing.
Havoc with the Thanos thing. Yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Yes,
dude,
please.
Actually, I should do an updated photo of Havoc with the Thanos and his like axe wound he has on his side because he just looks like he's been in battle. It looks like he had that surgery. Oh man.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Comic Con Podcast. What's up, guys? If you don't know, now you know. Heritage had a big sale. What were some of the other big books on there that went? Obviously, that was like the big one, the Batman one.
Oh, I don't even keep track because I can't afford them. It's just like looking at them, you're just like.
There was an action. Was there an Action Comics one also? I don't remember actually, but yeah, I don't look at that shit. That shit's depressing.
Oh, it totally is. It's just like I wish I could be in this market, but I'm not. Like,
yeah.
I'm like stuck to like, you know, Comic Connect and, you know, they even had like original art pages from like old school, like Green Arrow and Frank Miller's Daredevil stuff. It's just like,
yeah.
Okay. I think like, I think what else was on there? Like an AF-15 was on there. Like first, All-Star Comics 2 or 3 was on there as well. But yeah, a couple Batman 1s. There was a few.
Where did they
Batman
come from? You don't know? I mean, I know you know.
My basement, bro. Like
they came from your basement. Actually, these are the things I want to know. I'm like, hey, who has these books? Where do they live? Because I might be paying them a visit.
Yeah, they're typically in like safes and vaults.
Yeah, if you're smart.
At the bank.
Right.
I mean, well, like obviously years and years ago when I worked at a bank, and I would bring people into their safe deposit boxes. Somebody had a comic in one of their safe deposit boxes. It was like a Action Comics 2 or 3.
Really?
Yeah. And the guy showed it to me, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." Don't show me that again. You may not leave this place.
How did that guy know? That's funny. That guy's like has no idea who his crowd is that he showed it to. You know?
Yeah, some people are
banker, but it's you. You know?
No, because like he was always banking with me, so like it became kind of like a conversation. Like he wasn't just like a random person. Okay. Like I always did business with him, and at the time, the bank that I worked for also had sometimes we always had a cop in there, like for security, because we used to get robbed all the time. And one security guy actually wrote a comic book. So we always used to talk comics. So sometimes he would come in and overhear us talking, and that's how he like kind of showed me.
How did your bank get robbed all the time? Who's robbing banks, bro?
Back then, in like the early to mid 2000s, yeah, man. Like people just like walk in and then they just show like a note, say I have a gun, and like you know, banks. The protocol is you basically just if you're a teller, you just hand over everything.
Yeah, you should write him a note back that just says "prove it." See what
show me.
happens. Do you
Or
want to
like,
dance? You want to dance, asshole?
or it's like you write a note that says, here's my car, put some in there.
He said, I have a gun. You write a note back. I have a poodle. You're up. Your move. Your move.
Oh, Jesus.
Huckleberry. But anyway, let's get into it, man. We got a good show today. We're going to talk a little bit community stuff. Obviously, if this is your first time listening to us, you may not know this, but Justin's been pitching the King Kon. We're good friends with the owners of the King Kon. Justin's going to talk to us a little bit about that show this past weekend. We're going to get into a lot of news. There's been a lot of look, there's not a ton of like major news, but we kind of got shotgunned with a bunch of TV movie news, and we're going to rifle through as much of it as possible as we can get to. And then we're going to wrap it up like we always do with pick of the weeks and all that good stuff. So let's jump into King Kong 4, right? King Kong 4.
Yeah, man, it's wild. It was an absolute great show. Like, it was the first of all, it was the first time I set up. So for the first time, like, getting to see it from the other side, like standing behind a booth and like watching everybody,
Right,
like walk around and like, hey, can I see this book? Hey, do you have this? Blah blah blah, this and that. It was a different feeling, without a doubt. Like, and then of course, like I set
did
up
you
with
like
my
it
buddy.
better? Sorry. Did you like it better or worse? Because you as a con guy, you're digging in boxes, you're moving around, you're trying to make deals and stuff. I feel like you caged up isn't a good look.
Oh God, yeah. I definitely was not behind our booth very long. Like, it was 2 days. It was Saturday was 12 to 6, Sunday was 10 to 4. Obviously, and then like a little early for like the early birds and VIPs. But like, I completely was, obviously we set up, so I tried to look in people's booths. But then, like, as people are coming, I'm moving around, like I'm going back, I'm looking at other people's things, and I'm talking to people. If it was busy at the table, I would definitely hang out, right? Like, I'm not going to leave my buddy alone while he's like showing books and people are trying to take books. Not like people are going to do that, but that's obviously a thing that happens at cons.
Let's talk about your buddy real quick, because your buddy, it's kind of an interesting story there. In like two things, he's not really part of like the comic book community. He's not a comic book guy. He has just a large collection from his father, right?
Yeah. So my buddy Armand, I've known him for years. I've known him probably since like mid 90s. Like, I've known him since the middle school, and his father has always been a collector. He's a collector of everything. He passed away in like late 2019, early 20, right before COVID. It wasn't a COVID thing, it was something else. And he just had all these comics. He has, you name it on the Marvel side, he has it. Literally, like, he had ASM 1 to 400.
Wow.
FF 1 to 400. First Iron Man up through like Invincible Hulk 1 to 6, and then like 102. Avengers 1 to 100, X-Men. And then like past like the big, then past those guys, it's like Marvel Spotlight 5, like Tomb of Dracula, like 1 to 20, Eternals 1 to 20. It's just wild. And then even getting into more like obscure stuff, like he had like Charlton and Gold Key stuff. So he had like first Addams Family up on the wall, first Astro Boy, some Peanut stuff, some Flintstones. He had a little DC, he definitely, I mean, shit, he had like, what was it? Justice League 1 to 30. Some Plastic Man, Hawkman 1 to 4, Brave and the Bold, where he first appears. Like, it was like unbelievable stuff, and a lot of great. We priced it out. We spent an entire day pricing stuff out. We priced the move. We weren't looking to be like a wall show, because again, he's not attached to it. Some of the stuff he kept, and he will keep, for his kids, and eventually it'll sell or whatever. But we definitely moved a lot of books. So
you said you helped him price it out, but did you also kind of be like, hey, did you kind of walk him through like what books to bring, or like was that kind of his decision?
Yeah, we definitely spent like one Saturday at his parents' house, and just kind of went through everything of, like I said, oh, well, what do you want to keep? So he, let's say for instance, like Spider-Man, he wanted to keep from 1 to like 108 or 110, which is the end of the Lee and Romita run.
Yeah.
But then everything else was up for grabs, minus like first Punisher and I'm trying to think of what else he kept other than the Punisher book. Maybe like one more, but we sold Venom. We had a first Venom, 298, 299, and 300. First Black Cat.
Nice.
First Green Hobgoblin was in there. The Death of Gwen Stacy, like everything. So,
and the conditions on these books,
they were like between mid-grade and better.
Wow.
They were nice. Like,
I remember you sending me pictures the first time you went over there. Like, that would have been roughly around like 2019. I remember you sending like, you're like just random pictures, and it's you holding like Thor 1, the first appearance of Thor and shit. I was like, what's going on here? Who are you?
I became a collector of Marvel.
I remember I got really scared because at that moment I was like, no. You can't have all those books. Like, so this is gonna make this an unequal relationship. You can't have all those books, bro. It's not gonna work here.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he's, again, like you said, he's not a collector. He's not part of the community. He's just someone that we didn't really know like how to go about it. Like,
right.
He could give me books I could sell on Whatnot, but then obviously it's like fees and taxes to me. So I was like, hey, my buddy Greg, of course, MTG Comics puts on the show. I was like, hey, let's just set up, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll get a table. We ended up getting 2 tables because he had so much stuff and my stuff, and of course stuff for the podcast, which was awesome. I brought slabs. I literally brought 3 boxes of slabs. I sold some. I think I sold I had 3 full boxes. I sold 1 full box by the end.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, podcast t-shirts. So I appreciate the people that picked up the podcast t-shirts. I appreciate people that came and said they listened to the podcast. Like, that was really awesome because obviously there's people that I know in the community that listen, that have been here, as guests and stuff like that. But then there's people that I don't know, which is awesome. Sold some copies of Death Shroud. I got some from Chad. So
Chad and Ken gave you a bunch, right?
Yeah. So, I sold some copies of that, promoting that comic. So, and I still have some copies left. I'll probably end up probably throwing them up on like Whatnot and Buy It Nows, like for cheap prices for people that want to check it out. But then the show in general, man, like everybody from the, Pressable Defects put it on. You get Erod, you get Very Gary, you have Zap Comics here in New Jersey, Panther Comics here in New Jersey. You get NRG Comics, who sets up at shows, Fury Comics, Heroes Reborn, just so many people. Like the guy who was across from me, Evan, Goodbye Comics, he's a local guy. So, it's really awesome to have like people that are close knit, and it's a different feel. Like when you're there, 4 hours before the show and everyone's just kind of hanging out and talking. It's, it's really fun. Of course, Michelle, Moonlit Comics came on late Saturday, so she was there. Lone Wolf Comics, but it's just like such a blast. And Greg said that the first day they had over 400 people through the ticket sales just for that day. Not the vendors, just 400 people bought tickets for Saturday, and another 200 plus on Sunday, which is the best they've ever had. Yeah. You had people come down from, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, obviously Connecticut, because 3 Men in the Basement were up there. Some guy came all the way up from Florida, like flew up from Florida.
That's awesome.
No, it wasn't Nerdy Girl Comics. It was a guy, but it was wild, man. It was packed. Like there was time I had scheduled the Whatnot show on Saturday in the late afternoon. I couldn't even do it because we got so busy at one point. I was just like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop this.
Yeah. I saw an interview with, I can't remember who was interviewing Greg, and I think who's his partner that he does it with?
Mike.
Yeah. And, they were talking about it, and yeah, Greg was saying the same thing, that it was the 2 things I thought were really cool about the interview was Greg saying like the turnout was like way better, maybe not way better, but was better than the other previous 3, and which is always really good. You're doing these things consecutively, right? You want to see growth, boom, boom, boom. You don't want stagnation. Obviously, at some point, you're probably going to reach, let's be honest, it's not going to end up being like the next New York Comic-Con by any means, but like you probably will reach a plateau moment. But the fact that so early on and it's just growing and growing. And then the other thing that he said that I thought was really cool too is, and we talk about this all the time, cons they've changed, they've evolved over the years. And this isn't a dig on any of those other pop culture aspects of cons, like it's also cool. And let's be honest, as comic book people, all the pop culture stuff has brought people to the cons and has grown the cons and made them to be something that we can enjoy that we probably couldn't have enjoyed before because money and revenue and whatnot. But this was this is an old school type con. It's just straight comic books, like no pops, no Legos, no, whatever. I mean, no artists really either, right?
He had 3. This is actually the first time that he
cool.
actually brought on. Yeah, so he had Ryan Brown.
That's good to have, for sure.
Yeah, that was something that I kind of wanted. At the last show, maybe if it was like King Kong 2 or 3, I said, hey, I was like, I kind of want to do something. So, with an artist, maybe. Like and he goes, he's like, I still want to keep it to comics. But now that the space has grown,
right.
He was able to bring in Mark Morales was there, Ryan Brown, of course, who's done some variants for Barry Gary, and then Johnny Desjardins, who've done, obviously variants for Marvel, DC, and indie stuff. So
yeah, and then that's the thing too, right? It'll grow, and then he can probably get some more high profile, like, and keep it still. Like, I'm with it too. Keep it comics, writers and artists on current comics, or old comics or something like that. But yeah, it looks awesome, man. It sucks I'm so far away. It looks really fun.
maybe next year. He wants to keep it to just one show a year. To be honest, like the last time they had it was in October or September of last year, and it was kind of like it didn't do as well because I think by that time, like people are kind of conned out, and there's like a lot of cons. But to be honest, here in New Jersey, this past weekend, there was that, and then there was Mike Carbo's show in New York, and then I think there was supposedly he said there was another show way down in like South Jersey. But obviously, the Carbo show brings like a lot of people, like that's a big thing. But the fact that you still had a plethora of people, like it was never a point on Saturday where you could walk and there wasn't like you weren't bumping into people. Like there was enough space, but still, like it was just tough sometimes to get back to the booth. Like I'd go to the bathroom or I'd go get food, and I'm, in and out of people. Like it's crazy. That sounds dirty, but
Is he planning? Has Greg said is that kind of the time frame he's looking to keep, like March? I mean, that's kind of not to say it's bad by any means, but it is kind of you're starting like the beginning of the con season. March can be kind of a crowded time because people might be saving up for C2E2 or MegaCon or all the cons kind of kicking off.
I think he's trying to keep it into this, early spring, so March, April. But as long as you don't really get it on where there's a con, I guess locally around here. I mean, because for the most part, all the vendors pretty much they set up at local shows. They do set up at some of the conventions, but there's not like a vendor that was there that's like, oh, I'm going. Well, obviously NRG Comics, they went to MegaCon or they went to C2E2 out in Chicago this weekend, and even I think Fury Comics. But there's not like a huge vendor, there's not that like big time vendor that is that sets up at like New York and like goes to Florida and goes to whatever WonderCon, this and that. So it's cool. Like everyone's local. You get a lot of people in the community that vend. Like Erod started vending. 3 Men in the Basement were there. They were obviously right in the front. They were vending some stuff. So everyone's, Street Side Anthony. It was all different people from the community, which is awesome because it's not like you're going to get the same people that I feel like you'd normally see here in New Jersey. You get different people, which is always nice. So,
yeah. Sweet, man. So, well, remind me, I don't want to move on if you still want to talk some more about this, but I do have another community thing I want to bring up.
No, again, it was just, I appreciate MTG Comics. I appreciate Mike for putting it on. It's definitely a blast. If you get a chance next year, obviously check out everybody's Instagrams, check out the 3 Men in the Basement. They did a video, Pressable Defects on YouTube as well. Erod. I don't know if Gary took any footage. I didn't even think to like walk around and like interview people, take pictures. I was just like in such a different world, like especially being a vendor, like trying to make sure that my buddy wasn't overwhelmed, people weren't stealing comics, and just everybody having a good time. Like Saturday night was a lot of fun, and then Sunday was just like the recovery and also having a great time with everybody. Like it was just awesome, and the fact that I'm like literally 8 minutes away from the hotel made it so much better. Like,
yeah, no joke. Right?
I don't have to stay at the hotel. I don't have to drive super far. So, but yeah, it was an absolute great time. If you get a chance, definitely check out King Kong and just follow them on Instagram, and they'll let you know when the next show is.
Yeah, man, it's tough because it's like I gotta weigh it, you know what I mean? And now with baby on the way, it's like, okay, can I make 2 trips to the East Coast? You know what I mean? Like next year, like for King Con, and obviously Terrificon is a high draw for sure. But I'd like to, man. I'd like to try to make something work out. Who knows? Like you said, there's a chance maybe I might be out there for work. If I live out there, we'll see what happens. So
definitely.
So staying in the community section, and you kind of brought them up a couple of times. Tell the listeners about our friends 3 Men in the Basement. Kind of have something coming up here soon.
Yes. So 3 Men in the Basement, they've been putting on comic swamps. It's kind of better. It was kind of a thing that they created a couple of years ago, where it's really not a comic show. It's more of like a swapping show.
Yeah.
It's kind of like people come, they kind of swap comics. It's kind of like an old school thing, but it's kind of evolved. It went from being in like a bar to downstairs of a hall. They've had it at a place that Otto used to work at. I don't even know if it's no longer there, but now May 20th up at the Angry Hare, which is I think the second or third time they're doing it at this place. It's a really cool venue up in Newington, Connecticut. They have their 3-minute of basement comic swap. It's only Saturday. And your boys over here at the Comic-Con podcast are one of the 9.8 sponsors of the show. So you'll be seeing myself up there. And of course, I'll be bringing as much as possible so I can promote the podcast and, support the guys up there, especially everybody that's going to be there at the community.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's definitely that's gonna be a no-go for me for 100%. That's like that's within like the 2-week time span of baby due. So but man, yeah, that one always looks like fun too. It's more of, like you said, kind of like a hangout and people just having fun trading books and hanging out and stuff. But yeah, it's
DJ there. There's they give away tons of prizes. They do tons of door raffle stuff. They get like a food truck. They have drinks. Like, it's still a legit like comic buying and selling show, but it's more of, again, it was created to be more of like a swap. So you bring books, maybe you want to trade, or you just want to kind of hang out and chill. I mean, and people hang out there all day, which is the best thing.
Yeah, I think I'll probably send I'll either send it to you or I'll send it to Otto, something for I'm sure they're doing some kind of a raffle or a giveaway or something. So I'll probably donate something to be presented for the podcasto up there also. But that's cool, man. Yeah. So it's always great supporting our, obviously you've known Otto for a very long time, and Lords of the Long Box as well. So Otto's a good friend of ours, and the 3-minute basement are good friends of ours. So hell yeah, dude, support them and everything they do for sure. So same thing, put that on your calendars, everybody. If you're up in the in that area, try to hit that stuff up. Okay, so that's what we got for community news. Lots of good community stuff, all positive for once. Also, like, we still, side note, we continue our conversation. Obviously, Justin and I talk a lot, like off scene every day through DMs and messages and on the phone or whatnot. And we're still trying to come up with the big bad of 2023. Bringing over from our interview with the Swaggle Haas Comics.
Oh yeah. Well, to be honest, I guess I could drop the news that. Who showed up at King Kong?
Who?
So yeah, I forgot about it. I completely forget about this.
Just get it juicy before we get into the news.
So I'm sure you know this person. You may have, if you are on Whatnot, Epic Nation. He's kind of gone the rounds of not only Instagram, but of course with him and that thing that happened with Nick GQ.
Yeah,
I guess the beginning of the year, and then some other stuff. He puts out some stupid looking variants. God knows why, but it is what it is. There's people out there who buy them, and I'm sorry that if you buy those weird variants. But so he shows up to the show, and I've seen him here in New Jersey a couple times because, obviously when you don't have variants, you obviously have to figure out how to buy comics to sell and whatnot. So he went up to one of the vendors who I'm kind of friends with, and, he tried to work a really huge deal, basically almost like wanting to take like half his inventory.
Okay.
And then asked the guy if he took a credit card.
Oh, what was this? Amateur hour?
Yeah, I guess. Like, if you come to a show, maybe have.
I remember my first time.
Do you take credit cards? The real side note, the amount of people that asked my buddy if he took credit cards, like, bro, we're this like first time setting up. Like, I don't have like little
rip out my square. Right? I got my square all hooked up.
Yeah.
No, like, I mean, obviously vendors, like you said, obviously not bashing your buddy. First time setting up is like, hey, look, man, I'm a cash only type thing. But like, the big
everybody is. You're trying to avoid taxes. How do you come to a show and like want to work deals? Like, come with a check, or obviously if you're trusted, you come with a check. Come with cash, man. That's obvious. Cash is king. That's the greatest saying ever. So
especially if you're trying to buy bulk like that. Like, yeah, dude.
Take credit cards.
It's wild. So yeah, I think you kind of talked about it, we joked about it in one of our chats, that I think so far the big bad of the year so far right now is currently, it's not a person, it's a thing, and it's two things. It's two things you just brought up. One is crappy variants, which are in multitude of shitty variants out there in the community, just god awful, eye burning. And I'm not an art guy. I can't imagine how you survive and even want to still read and be in the comic book community with the shit that's coming out. But the other big one for me that I'm over it, man. Like, and we have friends who have sold really good ones and have been a part of this, and here's what pisses me off too.
I know what you're saying.
But is the fucking the poo variants. Like, do you poo? No, I don't anymore. No one poos anymore. Like, stop pooing. It's obnoxious. And it really sucks, dude, because that's like the theme for my son's nursery room is Winnie the Pooh. And every time I turn on a goddamn comic book channel, It's some garbage Winnie the Pooh variant with no reference to anything. It's just, it is played out, man. Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, comic book Winnie the Pooh, Do You Pooh Winnie the Pooh is the current reigning villain of 2023, in my opinion.
And I just wish the book was different. Like people don't realize, most people don't even open up the book because it's the same book on the inside constantly. Yeah. It's just the cover is the one thing that changes. So like, at least like if you do a variant, say like if you want to do a low print and you want to do like Zenoscope, at least you can get an artist to do it and you could pick the title. Obviously, someone like you or I really can't afford like a Marvel title or a DC title. So yeah, I get it. We have to go the indie route, but still like these certain people, they just continuously do this over and over. And then they even do other ones that I don't even know what company they're from. They just somehow get these artists to do it. And people like are up at 8-9 o'clock in the morning this morning buying like $100 metal covers of this stupid cover, but whatever.
Yeah, dude. That is the villain so far. The reigning champ right now. But okay, so that's comic book community news. Let's actually get
a lot of time.
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time on that one. That was good.
I'm glad we got a shotgun the rest of the show.
Yeah. Well, it's good. There really wasn't a lot of meat on the bones with some of our other news. But let's get into, we've got some big comic book news coming your way. Justin, you want to read this?
Yeah, so this is coming over from Marvel.com. Jonathan Hickman and Valerio Schiti conceive a grand new design for the Marvel Universe in their upcoming mystery project called Gods. The tagline is, "What happens when the powers that be meet the natural order of things?" Coming in fall of 2023. So now, before I get into the article, I got to say that the tagline sounds absolutely badass. Then when it comes down to it, like with a Marvel event, it's just like it hitters, it's just like,
right.
Like,
issues 1 and 2 will be real strong. And then like 3, 4, 5, and 6 will be super mediocre. Probably.
Yeah. So of course it was teased last year at San Diego Comic-Con. Of course, Jonathan Hickman and Valerio had planned for Marvel Comics. So this fall, the forces at the heart of Marvel Universe will stunningly be reimagined and evolved in a new series from two of the industry's most brilliant minds. So what they're doing is they are going to be undertaking this dramatic reshaping pantheon of the Marvel's cosmic beings and the entities behind the very fabric of reality. So, of course, I know Jonathan Hickman. I think he does a little like X-Men, right?
Yeah, maybe. A little bit. He did
possibly
a little
bit of Avengers.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's got some stuff going. Obviously, with you got characters like Eternity, Infinity, the Living Tribunal, and they're also going to have some stuff going on with Doctor Strange as well. So, what are your thoughts on this, man? Obviously, we don't know too much,
right,
but it's different from Hickman, right? Like after the fall of X, which is going to be happening soon
in the summer. Yeah. I mean, we joke about, like their events kind of petering out, and it's not untrue for Marvel, but it might be kind of untrue for Hickman. Like we go back and we look at like House of X and Powers of 10. When he came out with that, I mean, everyone was probably like, okay, here we go, same thing. But that was revolutionary. I mean, he changed the game for the X-Men. Like the status quo of the X-Men was flipped on its head, completely changed. And it wasn't like in minor ways. Like it was across the board, massive ways with like the Krakoa. You bring in all the mutants together, even the villains, the resurrection protocols, eventually leading into taking over Mars. I mean, massive changes in not only the X-Men world, but the Marvel Universe. So, bringing Hickman in and kind of bringing some life to what's kind of looks like it's like the magic / science aspect of the Marvel Universe, I think is awesome. No one really like, you talk about these omnipotent rulers of the universe, like you said, Eternity, Infinity, and Living Tribunal, right? But like, name a story with them really that like in the past 2 decades that have actually meant anything. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like those characters are kind of like, oh yeah, cool, they're there, whatever, but they don't actually like play any kind of a role necessarily. So, introduce Hickman and he's going to change that all up. And I love this because you can watch the trailers. If you go to like Marvel.com or Marvel's page on Instagram, they have like a little trailer for it, and they're okay, man. They're not like anything to write home about. But one of the things I really like about this is an introduction of a new character, right? So you have Doctor Strange, who's kind of going to be probably the focal point, the mainstay character. But we also have the new character, Wynn, a mysterious player in a war that exists outside of the orders we know and a vital member of an eons-old hierarchy that includes the omnipotent rulers we mentioned, eternity, infinity, and living tribunal. So that's cool. So now you have a new character that has no, like, we don't need past history. He's not tied up on anything. We don't know anything about him. So you get a first appearance. You got a new character not bogged down by history. And boom, Jonathan Hickman. Let's fucking go, dude. Like, let's see what's up. And I'm excited, man. I mean, like you said, Fall of the X is kind of coming. We'll see what happens with the mutants, if they're going to kind of go back to, old status quo. What's going to happen with there? Let's get a new shakeup. And I think Doctor Strange's universe, even, which will probably bleed into like the Avengers stuff, is kind of been a little stagnant lately. So I'm excited, man. I think this will be fun. Like we said offline, I want to know what God stands for. So obviously this isn't a visual show, like we always say, but God's is, oh God, what's the word here?
Anagram.
Anagram. Yeah. God, thank you. God's is an anagram. So it's supposed to stand for something. And we don't know what, but I'm excited, man.
Yeah. Cause like you said, like because as far as like, even though we say cosmic, right? Like most people would immediately go to like Guardians of the Galaxy or Nova.
Yeah.
And we've kind of already gotten that from like Annihilation Conquest and, that, which was an amazing run, right? And even like Silver Surfer, Galactus. But, like you said, you're talking about gods. You're talking about people, creatures, beings that have never really had change the status quo in Marvel Comics in so long. Like they've always been there. We've heard about them. We've seen some of them in the
like old Fantastic Four runs, it's kind of where they showed up. But I mean, these are like frameworks of like the universe that really haven't like actually got a ton of like individual attention. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to it. You?
Yeah, I definitely think Hickman coming off of X-Men is always great. Obviously, we speak about it all the time. It's going to be very wordy, but you never know. We'll probably get some awesome stuff, especially because we don't know what we're into.
You're going to get some diagrams, 100%.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Always has diagrams, dude. Like in the Avengers run, there's diagrams where like see pictures of the
universe.
Earth. Yeah.
It'll be maps.
There's always maps and shit like that. Like, oh, dude, it is always very wordy. But if you want to read a super like wordy, like I don't want to say classic, but like typical Jonathan Hickman is Decorum.
Oh,
like
yeah.
His little 8 or 9 issue Decorum run. Yep. Oh my God. It's just like quintessential Jonathan Hickman. But
I don't know. To me that title is like unreadable.
It was rough. It's not bad though. It's a little bit more
like
yeah. But anyway, so yeah, that's some good news, man. I'm excited about that, and that's in fall, right?
Yeah. No official date, but we will get a preview in the free comic book day for Avengers and X-Men coming out in May. So about a little over a month away, you'll get at least a little bit of a preview. So
sweet. Cool deal. So let's get into some TV movie news. Like we said, there's been kind of a lot of like Marvel, DC stuff coming out. So we're just going to kind of shotgun through these in no particular order. But let's start with, because there's a couple in this one. There's been some news coming out about the Captain America 4 film that's supposed to show New World Order. So obviously everyone knows Harrison Ford is taking over as Thaddeus Ross. We've been seeing some images of him and his character. Of course, a lot of people wondering, will we see Red Hulk? What's going to happen here? What's going on with there? But we recently got told another returning Incredible Hulk star is showing up. Who's that, Justin?
Well, the one and only Liv Tyler.
Oh, yes.
So will we see maybe Tyler. Yeah. Will we see a little red She-Hulk maybe?
Yeah, dude.
That's what about it, right? First of all, I gotta say something, and I feel like we talked about this. We may have talked about something. Harrison Ford, who absolutely hates like franchises, obviously, he's so done with like Star Wars, doesn't ever hates to be asked anything about Han Solo. Jumps into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and is just like, well, now you're going to be Thunderbolt Ross. They probably paid him. He's got to be the highest paid person on that bill. I don't care. Like Anthony Mackie could be, obviously he's been the Falcon and now he is Cap, but I'm sure like they were like just throwing money at him to like, please come on to this project.
Yeah, it's interesting because you go back, like 10, 20 years, and everything you just said is exactly true about like Harrison Ford, right? But now he's obviously a little bit more elderly. And I think he realizes, hey, look, man, I'm no longer going to be the leading guy in a movie unless it's some kind of franchise. So he's like, "What's up, Star Wars? What's up, Indy? What's up, Marvel? Like, I'm coming back, baby." And look, dude, I think it's a great business decision. Like get them checks, get that money, ride your career out. And I honestly think he probably doesn't want to be. And then, oh, sorry, I also missed Blade Runner, the return of Blade Runner as well. I also think, you joining these ensemble casts is probably not a lot asked of you. You know what I mean? Like, what's his run time in the movie? Probably max 20 minutes, probably. And it's not like General Ross has even had a massive role. Civil War was probably his biggest role, right? In the MCU. I mean, besides Incredible Hulk, of course.
Yeah, probably just those two.
Yeah. So
he shows up randomly, right? Like Avengers,
post-credit scenes here and there.
Widow.
Yeah, Black Widow. So I mean, that'll be cool, dude. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. Liv Tyler's coming back. Some other people think that the return of Betty Ross might open the door for other Hulk characters, which is something I read as well. Where I wrote an article that was like, Captain America 4 is quickly turning into a Hulk movie.
Oh, 100%. It's 100% now with her because obviously the return of Samuel Stearns.
Yeah, the leader.
Like, come on, how could you have a Captain America movie that doesn't have, or how can you have like a Hulk movie that's setting up people that were in his first MCU movie? Because I'm thinking the Eric Bana one.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's what I said. Like the talk is also, are we going to see a Doc Samson? So if he shows up as well, but we'll see, man. I mean, I think it's cool. Obviously the Hulk has kind of been the one like franchise of the MCU that has always felt a little disconnected because of like the issues with the rights and whatnot. I think it's a good idea bringing, I like that they had Ross. I think honestly, there must have been something there, right? It wasn't like, they couldn't just write. They had plans with Ross. He's going to be some kind of a vehicle moving the storyline forward because they couldn't just like with the death of William Hurt, they couldn't just write him out. They're like, shit, man, we need him. Like, we probably ain't gonna be able to pull off Wakanda Forever twice. You know what I mean? Like,
or they kill him. Yeah, to be honest, like I could kind of see if he dies, and then obviously Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, she could take over as the head of whatever, like the military, right? Yeah. Or is he president now? I don't even.
No. I think he's just a general, and
obviously the cast is stacked, right? They have that. They have the. Remember when they announced the villain was like that Egyptian or Israel female from like the Hulk series? Again, her first appearance was in like a Hulk title, and like that blew up. Obviously, you get the return of Bucky's coming back. You have Jaime Reyes coming back. Isaiah Bradley's also in there.
Jaime Torres.
Yes. Yeah. What did I say?
Yeah. Reyes. You're thinking Blue Beetle, which we'll talk about here soon, probably.
And then of course, like what's her name? The chick who plays like Agent 13.
Oh yeah.
She's in there. Samuel L. Jackson's in there. I know, but it's just like, yeah, this is becoming like the next Civil War. Like I feel like the Captain America movies have always been like that's what it is. It's been a big ensemble cast.
Mm-hmm. Joaquin Torres. I'm looking at a cast list here. We got Isaiah Bradley coming back. Samuel Stearns, the leader. Sabra's who you're talking about.
Oh, that's what her name was. Yeah.
Thunderbolt Ross, Betty Ross. I'm not seeing a cast list for Bucky. You sure Bucky's going to be in this one?
Yeah. They rumored him that to be coming back. Obviously,
it would totally make sense.
Even if it's a little bit and it kind of leads into Thunderbolt, because I feel like you still have to have like a little bit of a lead into that movie,
right?
There's got to be some type of bleed over from another movie for them to, why?
Yeah, agreed. I wonder what they haven't really said what the plot is here for this movie, have they? Have they yet? I'm kind of reading up on it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I think, like you said, I like the cast. I like the characters. I think it's, look, dude, you're following Captain America, and Chris Evans rocked Captain America, but Anthony Mackie has done an amazing job as Sam Wilson, and Falcon Winter Soldier was one of the better of the MCU, like Disney Plus shows for sure. And I think it'll be really interesting. I think he's going to do a good job, and I really hope it hits the ground running, which I feel like is something we keep saying and we keep getting disappointed. But God, man, we need a win here, bro. Luckily, we got some time. May 3rd, 2024. So it's not gonna be out for a while. But
Yeah.
cool. So that's our Captain America news. What was some of the other casting news we got recently?
So we have some casting news for Wonder Man.
Yes.
And it was pretty funny when Zach and I were deciding. We couldn't think of who the actor that was portraying Wonder Man. I immediately said Newbie Comics because he's a huge Wonder Man fan.
Wonder Man fan.
Yeah, he's a big Wonder Man. But yeah, so Wonder Man finds its Grim Reaper. So Demetrius Grosse is joining the upcoming superhero show. Of course, if you don't know, Wonder Man and Grim Reaper are brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know the actor, he's from Fear the Walking Dead. So it was just revealed this week that he would be coming on as Grim Reaper. And I feel like that's a great character to put in this series because he's like an old school Avenger villain.
Yeah.
Who's definitely like a C-level villain, but he's cool.
Yeah.
And he's
super visually cool looking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Grim Reaper coming on to the show is definitely going to be very interesting. So obviously, you know, we're going to have that. And then some supposedly coming into Wonder Man is Trevor Slattery, of course, played by Ben Kingsley, is coming back as well. So another person in the Marvel MCU that just won't go away, I guess.
Right. We saw him last in Shang-Chi and Legend of Ten Rings. That's
yeah.
So it'll be cool to see. I wonder if we'll see any I mean, obviously Wanda is kind of dead right now. But obviously there is a lot of history between Wonder Man and Scarlet Witch. So there's a chance maybe we see some connection there. Will we see any of the Avengers? You know, it's a Disney Plus, and I'm sure this is something Justin's super excited about. It's a comedy series. So we'll see, man. I don't know. I mean, Wonder Man, I'm okay with Wonder Man not being taken seriously because no one takes Wonder Man seriously, apparently, besides maybe Newbie Comics. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes, dude. We will see.
It's definitely gonna be interesting to see other villains in that. And I hope he's actually like a big part of it. You know, obviously we know nothing yet, but you know, we'll kind of see. And then of course, we'll stick with some more Netflix stuff. So of course, this is a couple days old, but you know, for all the people that are scared that Daredevil, of course, is going to be, you know, dialed down on the violence. Vincent D'Onofrio actually recently just posted he assured fans that Daredevil on Disney Plus will still be violent. If it just what you're looking for at the most, he quoted is if it looks at the most brutal stuff that Marvel is doing, which is few and far between, but it's there. It will be there for us too. So I'm excited.
Hell yeah, dude. So excited. This might be the thing I'm most excited about in the MCU right now.
I think with that and coming back with Barnthol as Punisher, I feel like that really needs to stay on the high, right? It needs to stay there for the simple fact is we know what it was like on Netflix. Well, it needs to keep where it was at, if not better.
Yeah. And D'Onofrio has been pretty vocal, talking a lot about Daredevil. I mean, they've already said that his second season is planned. They're already saying that there's going to be massive payoffs in season 1 for season 2. He kind of came out and said, "Hey, look, like, don't worry, hang in there." Like, not even saying necessarily like the season 1's going to be bad, but there's a lot of questions because obviously you're thinking about Daredevil, right? So where's Foggy Nelson? Where's Karen Page? And they haven't been announced at all. But it does seem like D'Onofrio has been kind of teasing a little bit, like chill. Like, you guys will get what you want.
I heard they weren't coming back.
They aren't for this season. But
some
of his interviews kind of hinted, and there's some belief that maybe we might see them show back up, like in season 2, possibly. The other big missing member here is Bullseye, right? Like, I mean, we had season 3 of Daredevil. We got the introduction of Bullseye. And if you're talking Daredevil villains, it's Kingpin Bullseye, right? So, like, of course, for me as a massive fan, like, I want to see Bullseye, and I liked what they did with Bullseye in season 3 of Daredevil. So I want that to be continued. But man, Bernthal being announced as a Punisher, I mean, that put this shit on another level where it was like already going to be really cool. You know, it's leading. And so I just love how we're going to get Echo and we're going to get Daredevil in there. Right. And so there's this whole belief that in Echo, Daredevil shows up looking for Jessica Jones. So that's kind of like his driving move in the Echo show. I think it's kind of been released a little bit. And then maybe we'll get Jessica Jones as well in the Daredevil show, possibly. Who knows?
There's also a rumor going around, and I kind of just take this with a grain of salt, but they were saying that Daredevil and Kate Bishop would be showing up in the Spider-Man movies, leading to Kingpin as the villain.
Interesting.
Like
That's a good reminder about. Keep going with that because I got something else about Spider-Man that I saw today.
that's all I got. It was just
That's cool. I mean, those are your street level characters, right? Like I don't need Spider-Man in the Avengers. I get why on like the big screen and with the money that you bring him to the Avengers movies, right? I mean, Spider-Man's the biggest draw of the Marvel universe, but he's more of a street level character. It makes more sense him swinging from New York than seeing him in space, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be
It
awesome.
doesn't. You don't need him to have some like obviously. What was it? No Way Home, right?
Yeah.
That was like way too much for a Spider-Man movie, but I get what they did to reset
Awesome
him,
movie,
right?
Yeah.
But like that's not him. Like bring in, like you said, the street level characters because that's who Spider-Man is. So you have like obviously Black Cat is someone who I want to see. You get the thieving, you get that whole acrobatics thing. Like obviously the same thing with Daredevil. Like he doesn't need to have this like super anticlimactic movie where it has to be all like CGI and has to be almost like a world ending, which is basically what No Way Home was.
Yeah. Grant, I totally agree with you. I love No Way Home though. It did kind of have to reset him a little bit, which is kind of strange too, like with his characters and the supporting cast, like what'll happen with that. I know what you mean. Like in theory, like us growing up, it's Spider-Man isn't that kind of a character, but I don't feel like you can say that anymore. Like with all the Venomverse, Spider-Verse, like Spider-Man has become a multiversal character in current era more than he is anything else in the comic books. So it's almost like that's kind of made more sense the way they went with that. But
it's gonna be interesting once they figure out like, does anybody actually know? Because there's those people that really deep dive and like who knows that Spider-Man is still Peter Parker. There's all those people like, oh, like does the Hulk know or does Bruce Banner know? And obviously when things changed, like people were in space. There's this, there's all that. Like, so I wanted to find out like who's actually going to still remember.
So still kind of on the Spider-Man thing, another article I saw today was there's talk and rumors, and this could be super early, of a Sandman return from actor Thomas Hayden Church for Spider-Man 4.
Yes.
So that would be really cool. I mean, he was really the only good thing about Spider-Man 3. But more, he was talking, they spoke to him about how he would love to he'd love to come back. But he'd like to do more of where he can actually switch back to, the human character, not just Sandman character. So that would be really cool as well.
Yeah, definitely. So Marvel side, obviously we have a lot of people. And then speaking of sand. On the DC side, so over at CBR.com, the Batman 2 is reporting that includes Clayface is going to be in a major role. So
yes.
Do we think that we're going to see either Mr. Carlo or, oh God, off the top of my head, I can't think of the other one. Basil Carlo. And
Carlo, yeah.
That's the main one. That was this first one. And then the second one was
Mr. Freeze, right? They were talking Court of
Owls. No. I meant like actual. I was gonna think of their original names. I was trying to use my Batman knowledge of their actual real names, but I can't think of it. But yeah,
Clayface.
It'll come to me. But yeah, that's like interesting because they showed some concept of the art possibly. But yeah, I mean, Mr. Freeze is another one. But I feel like Clayface is definitely somebody in that world, especially Matt Reeves' universe, because of the fact that it's very detective, and obviously with Clayface has the ability to, change his appearance.
Yeah, it's different though. Clayface is one of the very few Batman villains who has powers. You know what I mean? So like if you actually look at Batman villains, few of them have powers. Most of them are just goofy dudes in like suits with stuff. But
yeah.
But he actually has powers. So it could be strange unless they rewrite it. What would be really cool for Clayface is to make him like, I don't know if people would like these. Maybe fans may not like this at all, but to make it more grounded, make him more of like just a guy who's like really good at disguises. I don't know. Even saying it out loud.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, me too, but
yeah, like why not have that one? Like that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't have to be like a giant. He doesn't have to be like a giant monster. He could be kind of like the way they had it from, if obviously you remember the Matt Hagen. That's the one I was thinking. He was the one who was like the Batman animated series. Like he was an actor and obviously he was using the gook to change his face because he was always doing
Right. And
appearances,
makeup,
and
right?
it's
Yeah.
yeah. So, and that's what it is. You could have someone who just has that ability to kind of it doesn't have to be some giant monster like that we've seen in the comics, that we've seen in like the Arkham games.
Mhm.
It just can be a normal human that has his face, screwed up, and he has the ability to kind of adjust
Mold
it if
it.
he
Yeah.
needs to. So, or mold it,
Yeah.
yeah, like you said.
It's definitely interesting. And he's a character we haven't seen live action before. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think. We never saw him he didn't show up in Gotham, did he? In the TV show Gotham? He might have been one of the few villains who didn't show up in that as well. So we may actually have
Yeah.
no live action, I feel like, of Clayface. I'm going to have to look that up. So I don't
Yeah, I
get
don't think he's been in anything.
outside of animated in games, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he did it the Basil Carlo, which is like the main, because they've kind of obviously there's many different versions of
Mhm.
him, but like when he was on the Detective Comics run, like that was the best when he was
Oh,
with
yeah, when he was like a good guy kinda?
yeah, like
Yeah, that
that
was
was
really cool.
awesome. Obviously, we've seen him in the Arkham games a few times, so that's really awesome as well. But yeah, I don't think he's been in anything. Definitely not in live action.
Yeah, looks like, there's going to be a Clayface in the 3rd season of Pennyworth. An original incarnation of Clayface appears in the 2022 3rd season of Pennyworth.
Oh yeah, I just saw that too. And he was in Gotham, but he must have only been in one episode. Hmm. Hugo Strange was revived him using
I
some
don't remember
octopus
that,
DNA that
yeah.
gave him the ability to alter his face to resemble anything he wants.
I do not remember that.
I do not remember that, and I actually
It
watched
must
it
have yeah,
twice.
so did I. It must have just been I'm gonna look up a picture. Gotham.
But he
Must
was
have been
good
like one
in
episode, yeah.
yeah, it's got to be. But he's great in like you said. I think a live action version of him is the way to go. Characters that we haven't seen, and of course, it's still kind of up in the air. Is Mr. Freeze has been also teased as far as
Mhm.
Batman, and then for people here in New Jersey, obviously, it's been posted a little bit all over in the internet. They've been filming Joker over up in Bellevue, New Jersey. So.
God, dude. There's so many stands for this Joker movie. It's so stupid.
It's pretty cool though. Like it's wild when people text me that live in the state and they're like, "Hey, did you know that the Joker is like being?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I heard about it." And my buddy's like, "Yeah, I drove by." He's like, "It's all fenced off." He's like, "They changed the sign to say Gotham Hospital or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I know. It's cool." The first one was filmed in Newark. Some of the parts were filmed in Newark, New Jersey. So
That is
I
cool,
remember
yes.
being there like on days off, where I would go to like either I think it was like I was going to the Prudential Center where like the Devils play for either a concert or a basketball game or something, and you'd still see like the big cranes and some of the old cars like down the street. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't crazy about I've only seen Joker one time. I thought it was like, okay. I know everyone rants and raves. It's the greatest movie of all time. And then it's just like, I don't know, dude. Do something new. Honestly, I don't find it interesting at all. It's like, oh, cool. Harley Quinn, sweet. Like,
I feel like that's what we should do. Like one day is we should do um like movie reviews on like older movies because like stuff that we didn't do reviews because
yeah.
obviously when we started like 2 years ago.
Well,
So
let's do
we could do
fucking
like the Joker or do some Marvel movie from back in the day and like actually watch it and be like, wow.
Let's do the original Punisher with Dolph Lundgren. That's
Ooh.
horrible. It's so bad.
Yeah, I like that.
But
Or we'll
the
take
Thomas Jane one's pretty good, actually. Except
well,
like,
yeah, and then I was gonna go with the Fantastic Four, the third movie, the reboot,
oh
that
yeah, I watched
unwatchable
that not
one
too
with
long
Michael B.
ago.
Jordan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I watched that not too long ago. Actually,
Oh,
I found it to be not as bad the second time I watched it.
I've never seen it from start to finish.
Really, really.
Never. I just can't. I just can't imagine watching that movie. It's so bad. Sorry. But again, we could watch it. I mean, we could let people
We'll do it.
from our, podcast send us messages and say, yeah, what should we do?
Yeah,
Take a
old
vote.
movies you want us to review, send them. So, okay, last article we're going to get into real quick before we round out this episode. This is kind of some big news, not a lot of meat on the bones here either, but we have former Marvel editor-in-chief Joe Quesada joining Amazon to develop comic book properties. So Amazon Studios signs former Marvel Comics editor-in-chief Joe Quesada to an exclusive deal to lead adaptations of various comic book IPs. So you should be excited about this. Quesada is great. He was a great editor-in-chief for Marvel. He knows comics. He knows how to adapt stuff. I'm excited about this. I want to see, we've talked about, obviously Something Is Killing the Children is looking like it's going to Netflix, and that's a bummer because we feel like Amazon is going to be the place to be for like more graphic and the more adult type comic book properties, which I'm hoping they do, man. I think it's going to be great. You get someone who knows comics, bring them in, and let's do it, dude. What do you think?
Yeah, so it doesn't really talk about if it's going to be Marvel stuff, right? It's kind of just
right.
it's really
Well,
just comic
doubtful it
books
will
in
be any
general.
Marvel things.
Yeah, I'm
No,
sure because
yeah.
obviously they've had a lot of people over there, but yeah, like you said, I mean, he could be like the Dave Filoni of the comic book world, right?
Mhm.
Like Dave Filoni's come in, done so much stuff with Star Wars. Why not have someone who knows, like you said, knows comic books and can really do, really bring it full force. So
Right. I think
I
he's
mean,
gonna
he's done
be.
everything, right? He's done like the Civil War, like he's been
Yeah.
in the Age of Ultron stuff, not the movies, but the comic book world, and even going back to like DC stuff. So
Valiant, and yeah,
yeah,
I
I mean,
think.
he's been like I think he was like executive producer for some of the shows, right? I think like Shield, maybe. Uh,
Yeah, and definitely the early Marvel movies pre MCU, he was a
mhm.
part of all those, which I'm not like, people are probably like, oh God, but obviously you start somewhere, like, right? The movies adapted and they've evolved and they moved on. But I think the thing I think that's so great about will be great about him, and they talk about it in the article as well, is that they're trying to kind of create an environment of like a collaborative environment where everyone kind of has a voice, and you'll have like one person that will be over it. And I think he knows how to do that. Editor in chief of Marvel. I mean, that's big, dude. Like, with as many, we joke about how shitty the crossovers are with Marvel, but you still have to juggle a lot of balls to try to get all those together, right? Like, okay,
Mhm.
Spider-Man, X-Men, Howard the Duck, whatever crappy number one they're coming out with next. Like, get your storyline in line to come up with, or to meet us in the middle for this really shitty like crossover here. But you have to juggle all those balls. And I think Quesada will do a good job of guiding, different collaborative teams and creators. And I think it'll be great, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it'll be interesting to see what they come up with,
Yeah.
whether it's what indie route they're going to go with. Because again, I don't think it's
Right.
going to be anything. It's not going to be anything for the Marvels. So
Yeah. Don't even think Marvel. Yeah.
yeah, and again, Amazon has been putting out amazing stuff with stuff like The Boys and
Mhm.
Invincible, which we're still waiting for new seasons of both.
Yeah. God.
And then I guess we also have Silk, right? They're supposed to do Silk and Spider-Man Noir on Amazon as well. So I don't know. Amazon could be the next, best thing for comic books.
Yeah. I think it's a good look. I think we're gonna see some good things there. So that's some big news. So that's our news. And like always, we are going ahead and round this out with what we are currently reading. I had like 2 weeks worth of books to read. So why
Oh,
don't
I'm
you start
sure.
off?
Yeah. So I actually just have two quick indie ones this week. The first one, actually, if you heard last week's episode with Nat, the comics queen, she was talking about an upcoming book. She gets books a little early. It's called The Ambassadors, over from Image. Of course, Mark Millar's new thing. So it's all about, you have 8 billion people in the world, and you get 6 people that can have superpowers. So it's pretty interesting. Of course, it's a very like Jupiter's Legacy, because that's what like Mark does, and of course you get the Frank Whately on the art. So it's very similar to anything that, if you've ever read Jupiter's Legacy. But it's basically about this woman who used to work with her husband, and now she's in jail, and she learned how to create superpowers, and she basically is announcing it to the world that she's basically going to give these powers to only basically the ambassadors of, whether male, female, could be someone from America, South America, some random country. But
Yeah.
it's just really interesting the way they've done it, because they also have few like superheroes in a way that show up in the beginnings, like they talk about it, but it's more of a like a hush hush from the government. So I appreciate Nat coming on and talking about it last week, because I'm a big fan of Jupiter's Legacy. I would wish they would have done more with the TV series, but first issue definitely hits home, especially if you're a fan of Jupiter's Legacy or Jupiter's Circle, with the way it's starting off. So that's one of my honorable mentions. And then this has kind of been like a We haven't really talked about it, and I feel like some people are kind of over it, but I actually finally got caught up with everything. But Something is Killing the Children 30 came out this week.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're caught up or still reading it, but
I don't think I've read that issue. I
oh,
think
okay.
I'm caught up besides that issue. It just came out this week, so no,
Yeah.
I get that on like DCBS, so it'll come
Okay.
with it.
So yeah, obviously, they've this story arc is all about Erica and this character named Gabby, which is it's good. Like I feel like people are like, oh, well, the title's called Something is Killing the Children, but there's not a lot of monsters. In this story arc, even though it does have a monster, it's really more about Erica fighting, Gabby and hunting her down. But that's I feel like what's the best part about this. And I feel like this issue, and I think the previous issue 29 was really good because of the fact that it expands more on the lore, right? You get
Yeah,
more of you learn more about the dragon and you learn more about the houses and how there's how like the one house could fall and then someone else will be, they'll rise up and they'll be like instead of like the house of slaughter in New York, it'll be like in another country that'll be like the head house. And then you get all the masks. So I feel like that's the thing that people are kind of taking for granted, right?
oh, for
Just,
sure, for
just because
sure.
there's no monsters in like every issue and there's not killings, but there's a lot of world building that he's doing. And I think that's what's the best part about this story arc is that you're learning so much more of his world.
Yeah,
So definitely pick of the week is this current story arc, which is like 25 to 30 so far on Something is Killing the Children. And Gabby's badass. Like she's definitely taken she's beating the crap out of a lot of people. Um and then Eric is just good. You're still learning a little bit about her as well in these issues. And I think it's this past issue as well. Like you find like Gabby's uh little puppet, not puppet, plush toy,
yeah,
like, it's cool that I love how they're, like, demons inside, and, the one girl who's been the little girl part of this story arc, obviously, like, the monsters are always telling her, like, what to do. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna die," this and that, and, like, Erica's like, "Oh, shut up," "Don't listen to those things," and there's, like, 2 of them that are trying to, like, tell this girl, like, that she's gonna die, this and that. But I love that about the way they created this was they had the monsters and they somehow put them these demons into
yeah.
the different plush toys. So definitely pick of the week is Something is Killing the Children. What about you? I know you got tons of stuff that you've been reading
Well,
backlog.
first, there's something I agree with you on the something is
Mm,
killing the children stuff. Like, you got to do the coolest thing was the world. Like, let's see more of the world. And people who are like, well, there's no more monsters, bro. You probably read damn near 200 issues of Walking Dead where they didn't have zombies all the time. Like, give it a
mm,
little bit. You know what I mean? Like, the monsters will show back up. I'm sure they will, but you got to have some character development. You can't just keep having this Erica going around and fighting monsters all the time with no, like, that's going to get old as well. So, like,
mhm,
it's kind of a roller coaster, right? So monsters, story arcs, character building, monsters, story arcs, character building. I'm sure we'll get to at some point. I can guarantee there's going to be a new monster. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like the most epic monster that's ever been. Like that's going to happen. That's like inevitable, probably. But I'm loving it too, man. House of Slaughter kind of is a drag. I just read issue 13. It's okay. I'm just not crazy about Jace.
mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. So my honorable mentions are I was glad to see Noctera come back. It's been a while since we had a Noctera issue. I think it was Noctera number 12, I believe, just came out. So really cool seeing that, picking up where it left off the story with Val and the Sundog convoy. I love that story. I think it's great. And so I was excited to see that. And staying on a Scott Snyder run right there, another story arc or another title people aren't talking about. I've been reading it since Jump, and I've look, it's not amazing. It's not like the best ever, but I've always thought it was really strong, and I like it. Is Undiscovered Country, and
Oh wow, I haven't heard that in a while.
yeah, and it's good, man. I mean, we're getting further along. I mean, they got to make it through all the different 7 circles of like America or whatever the spiral is. But the story's really good. It's gripping. I feel like, and I really enjoy it a lot. And it doesn't seem like it's getting talked about too much. But
Mm,
so yeah, another honorable mention, Undiscovered Country. I think it was issue 29 just came out. And then my pick of the week is another title which I feel like isn't getting much love, and I'm really enjoying both the art and the story. Is Vanish by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. I think it's a really cool. It's almost like a dark Harry Potter, like slash. Oh God, almost kind of like a what you Jupiter's Legacy in a way. Like, have you read any of Vanish at all?
Just the first issue. I haven't really stuck with it because there's so much else.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's issue 5, and basically, if you haven't read Vanish, this in a nutshell, super nutshell version of the story is there's another world where there's like kids that are being raised in this magic user world, and the main character is kind of like the chosen one, and he leads a revolution somewhat against like the big bad, this guy named Vanish. But then they end up coming over to Earth, to like our Earth, and he still has powers. He's older now, and some of the villains who escaped that lived in there are now in Earth, and they're posing as like legitimate superheroes. And this guy's going around like killing them, and like they're trying to like change their life, but he's like, nah, that's just not happening. So he's like icing them out. But this issue was really cool. There's a big twist in this issue. I hope it's just kind of a temporary twist because I hate it when stories do this, but I really like it though. I mean, I feel like Donny Cates is writing really well again, and Ryan Stegman's art is always good. So I really enjoy it. I really look forward to when Vanish comes out. So that's going to be my pick of the week. Vanish number 5.
Nice. A lot of indie stuff this week. I'm surprised you didn't talk about that X-Men Forgiven that came out this week.
You know, I didn't read that.
Oh, okay.
No, I kind of gave up on those little like crossovers until they'll do that. It's like Avengers Unforgiven, X-Men Unforgiven. Nah, dude, because then I'm a completist. So then I gotta go read those other ones, and I have no interest in that. Okay. They had like the Man Thing one too that I found not very interesting. But there was an X-Men book that was really, really good this week. What was it?
Okay, that's the end of the podcast, people. No more.
Yeah. I tried to stick away from the X-Men, but there was, if I'm talking about a really good X-Men issue, which one? Maybe it wasn't a really good one. And I do want to talk to you about another book real quick.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
A shitty book, actually. God, dude, Captain Britain.
Oh, issue right. 2. It was so bad.
Please, it was so garbage, man. And like, dude, I'm not trying to be like a hater on, wokeness or whatever, but my God, dude, why did you have to turn? There was no reason out of nowhere. It literally came from nowhere. They turned Captain Britain and Rachel Summers into like a relationship. And that came at the end of Excalibur, the last issues or last run of Excalibur. Like literally out of nowhere. They're like, hey, we're really good friends. And then, let's make out with each other. And now they're a couple. And it's just it's so stupid, dude. It's just so forced and dumb and irritating. I find it very demeaning, to be honest with you. And it's garbage, bro. Hot garbage. Hot fucking garbage.
Nice. Yeah, so, I meant to ask if you read that too. Yeah. I was interested in it because it had like Captain Britain or Captain Carter on it. And then I was like, all right, let me pick it up. I read them and I'm like, oh God, why?
I'm only sticking around because I like Peter Wisdom. And I like it when they bring back old characters. Like Micromax is like an old Excalibur character who's kind of in the book a little bit. And I can't, bro, I'm telling you, there's no way this goes 12 issues. There's no way. I can't imagine it will. But what did you think about Jabba the Hutt? Did you read that one, Jabba's Palace?
I did. I liked the one shot. A couple new characters, and Jabba's Palace, and that whole world is something that we don't get too much of.
Yeah, it's interesting.
The whole crime lord era, and
yeah, I thought it was cool how they made a whole story out of one line in Return of the Jedi of like, we disintegrated the droid. The last droid got disintegrated, and they made a story out of that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's how it ends. Spoiler.
Are you going to read all because it's like all these one shots, Return of the Jedi one
shot? Right? Well, yeah, I mean, like I'll read the Ewoks one. I think it because they're all. I think what's going to happen is if they're getting into this world now, because we've said that like a lot of these titles are going farther than they probably should have until Return of the Jedi. So now we are getting into that Return of the Jedi era. So I feel like the Star Wars, all these titles will end and then they'll get relaunched. And it'll be like after Return of the Jedi. Well, no, it would be like right before Return of the Jedi in a way.
So, oh, you think so? I thought. Oh yeah, because we just. No, we're in between Empire and Return right now.
Yes.
So hopefully
there's a lot of good things that happen, like Shadows of the Empire happens in between the two titles.
Is that canon still?
No, but I mean it's cool.
Right.
Like
it is cool.
I want to see Luke and go back to Tatooine and build his lightsaber and like his true lightsaber. So
yeah, Yeah, it was a good. I was actually kind of surprised.
I was surprised too. Yeah, I wasn't gonna pick it up, and then I grabbed it, and I was just like, it was a good read, 100%.
Yeah. Well, cool, everyone. That was kind of a long episode this week, but not super long. But we had a lot to talk about.
Hell yeah,
good. It was fun. This is kind of an old school episode. We kind of freestyled this and we just went for it. We knocked this one out of the parks, guys. You're lucky.
Thank you.
Consider yourselves lucky for this one.
But, you're welcome, everybody.
Yeah, we basically gave you fucking gold. So,
but no, for last month, seriously, we thank all the women. If you haven't checked out, if you're a new listener, please check out anything that happened in March. We had a lot of great female people from here on the community. We had Swaggle House, we had Newbie. Please, go check out those episodes. And then, of course, May 20th, your boys here at the Comic Con podcast are sponsors for the 3 Men in a Basement comic swap. Oh, and I have a cool little Whatnot sale this weekend. If you're listening early enough, a lot of Spider-Man stuff. So go follow me, Nemesis Prime, on Whatnot.
Nice. That's all we got today. That's episode 13. We will see you guys next week. Like I said, hey, send us some if you want us to review some old shitty movies. Let us know. Let's keep it comic book related, though, as of now. If we get to a different realm, maybe we can do Legally Blonde or some other weird shit.
Oh, God. Yeah, we still got to talk about Shazam and other stuff we didn't talk about, but we'll get to them.
Mando and Bad Batch we'll hook up with next week. So that's all we got this week. Everybody, stay safe out there. And